Now, one person has died overnight after trying to cross the English Channel.
The French Coast Guard was alerted to a boat carrying migrants 5 miles off the coast of Dunkirk. They were able to rescue 66 people as the boat began to sink.
One other migrant remains in a critical condition. But for more on this now is our very own Home and Security editor, Mark White. Mark, these are always tragic incidents, but I suppose to some extent are inevitable when you have large numbers coming across in rickety boats.
Yeah, especially when you get to this time of year, because the weather windows are far fewer than they are during the summer, when you get periods of flat, calm conditions that can last a week or more. Plenty of opportunity for these small boats to cross. In the winter, though, you get a run of bad weather. In fact, we haven't had any boat crossings for more than a week now. And then today, where it's just about passable, the small boats take to the water, and that's what happened. But I say just about passable. The conditions are still pretty awful out there, with significant swells and 12-knot winds from the northwest. Just in the last 10 minutes or so, some migrants have arrived at Dover. They were taken off by the Border Force vessel Hurricane there. Another Border Force vessel, Ranger, is picking up another group of migrants. So we believe that 4 small boats have come across, in addition to that boat that got into difficulties in the early hours of this morning. And we're learning that the person who died is a woman. We don't know the sex of the person who was flown to hospital in Calais, but they are described as critically ill at this time. Now, James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, has been responding to this. He said that it highlights the horrific brutality of the people smugglers. Labour's Annalise Dodds has been speaking as well. She says that the government needs to do much more to go after those people smugglers.
Labour does have a different approach, and above all, it's focused on breaking up those criminal gangs. So we would be making sure that we had a joint elite police unit that was focused on these criminal gangs, that was actually prosecuting the individuals, because we've seen the rate of prosecutions of criminal people smugglers actually going down over recent years. We need to have a focus on that. We need to be processing claims.
Now, our parliamentarians all agree that these crossings must be stopped, not least because they're so dangerous, as this incident has highlighted. So much disagreement about how you do that, though. Yes, and obviously Rwanda is the one big issue that the two big parties have completely opposing viewpoints on. Clearly, the Conservatives see this as a very significant proposal that, if it was actually to come to fruition, they believe would act as a disincentive that would help break the people smugglers model. Labour does not believe that at all. You heard from Annalise Dodds there. Their focus would be on going after the people smugglers. I mean, to be fair to the government, the National Crime Agency, other law enforcement partners are doing just that. They are going after the people smugglers, but it's not easy to go after these criminal gangs that have grown in sophistication over recent years, that have well-sourced supplies for boats and other equipment they need to get across the channel, and who have a ready market of thousands of people, more than 29,500 so far this year, who want to cross, who are more than willing to pay £2,000 or £3,000 to get on these boats, despite the risks. And after these sorts of incidents, do we see a reduction in the numbers crossing, or does it have very little impact at all?
None at all. I mean, people just factor the risk in to their journey, and yes, of course, it's a shock, I'm sure, for everyone that's in the camps in Calais and in Dunkirk when the information comes back about what's happened out in the Channel. But that doesn't put them off. I mean, these people have travelled, in many cases, thousands of miles. They will have already, in the majority of cases, crossed a bigger sea in terms of the Mediterranean to get to the mainland Europe and then up towards northern France. This is the very last leg. They realise there's always a risk in crowding on these inflatables in less than ideal weather conditions, but that's the last leg that they've come so far for, and it's not going to put them off. But sadly, as I say, when we get to this time of year, what happens out in the Channel is that with the swells, the waves, the winds pushing the boats back, that means that these often very flimsy vessels that are made to order in backstreet factories in China and then shipped to Turkey for onward transport up to the European Union, you know, they are not the most robust of vessels by any means. And when they hit these big swells, that can be enough just to sort of pull them apart at the seams there.
Really, really tragic scenes. Mark White, thank you so much for bringing us that detail, that information and that assessment too.